All right, welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 replay cast. And it's not just one, we're going to be doing another of these best of threes from WCS. And when I say WCS, I mean WCS Spring. So still a lot of games for me to cast. I sort of looked through, found what could be a good series or some good games. As I don't want to cast all the games that were really shown on the main stream or anything like that. I feel as if it's a bit redundant. But I definitely will be casting some more of them. Maybe do a few more of the finals games that I didn't watch or anything like that. So, yeah, more WCS to come. And as far as this one goes, it's going to be a PvZ on the map Port Alexander. And we'll introduce the players here, spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map. I've cast this guy a lot. I've actually cast both these guys a lot. It's DnS, the French Protoss, a very good Protoss, very high level, even though he doesn't necessarily have the most amount of notoriety, I suppose. His opponent, maybe a little bit more infamous in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it is Bly, the Zerg player from Ukraine with a bit of a reputation. And we'll see how these two guys are going to go. I feel as if they're pretty evenly matched. I'm not actually sure how this match goes between the two of them. I don't like to know the results of a match before I cast them. And I definitely don't like to have watched a game before I cast it, as that just... Guys, it's tough. It's tough when you know everything that's going to happen. It's just not exciting, you know? So that's why I always like to be very particular with the games I pick and choose. And this should be a good best of three, I'm hoping, between these two. Now, DnS, he came across the map with his little probe, just going to harass. Little things like that. And, yeah, just a normal PvZ opening up here from both these players, pulling up that production tab. Hatchery is on the way for Bly already, which is notable. It's sub 2 minutes, which is rather quick. But before this game really gets underway, let's read the comments for Grassy Tiger on that previous match that I cast, which was Clem versus Cyril, that best of three. You guys really like that one, by the way. He says, please cast Cyril more. And I think it's safe to say that I will, because you guys really liked that past video. And, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to see him more, I'll cast more of him. I thought you guys might have had your fill of Cyril. Apparently that is not the case. So I might cast some more of his games from any tournaments or things that I can. I've cast him a few times on the channel, some games that weren't broadcast anywhere else. So maybe you want to search those up or whatever. But, no, yeah, I'll keep casting more of these WCS games and probably some more with Cyril. Now, probe goes down here. And, yeah, just looks like a little bit of the sneakiness here as Bly's trying to get his lings to the north. Just maybe try and sneak his way into DNS's base as this other adept is out on the map. Looks like this adept is heading the right way. They will find these two lings, which is a nice find for a Protoss player, because if you play Protoss, there's nothing worse than a ling running right on into your base. And this one might make it a bit, but not going to make it too far into the base of DNS. All the while, DNS's scouting adept is getting on in here. So, just as this game's going underway, guys, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this kind of StarCraft 2 content, some of these WCS games, make sure to hit that like button. We're going to try and hit 20 likes for this video. We'll say 25. We'll be pretty bold for this one. But make sure that you press that like button if you are enjoying the content. If you're new and this is like the first video of mine you've watched, feel free to press that subscribe button, as I put out a fair few of these videos. A Stargate is out and an Oracle's already on the way for DNS, so pretty normal PvZ opening. It does get spotted by the Overlord of Bly. However, the days in which a Protoss really needed an Oracle to get tons of damage done is kind of over, but look at this. In comes this Oracle. There's a queen at this third base. However, there's two exposed drones. These could be ripe for the picking. DNS flies right by him. Hasn't activated that pulsar beam yet, though. He could pick off those drones. Look at that Bly having way too much time. Actually, that's because lings are getting into the base of DNS, so this is a pretty big mistake from him. Yeah, he's just getting cleaned on up there. Or this Oracle actually engages, kills off the queen, kills off the queen's tumor, kills off those two drones. So a bit of a scrappy start. I do apologize for the observing, guys. Let's just jump right back half a second here. I want to see these lings get on in here, because there was quite a few. So yeah, Bly just made like some lings, his first batch of lings, the second speed finished up. I was really paying attention to that Oracle, because you don't expect lings to get on in here, but Bly actually just crashes into the gate. Looks like he tries to kill off this Adept, and I think he gets on in. Yeah, DnS places that gateway, but it wasn't in position, so that's how those Lings got in there. That's not something that usually happens in a PvZ. It throws the Protoss off a bit. Of course, his Oracle kills the 2 drones, decides to kill the Queen just because it's a murderer like that. So a bit of damage goes down on both sides. A little bit, not typical, I guess, for Lings to get on into the Protoss base. That's generally something Protoss can stop. Of course, it does happen every now and then. But no, nothing too critical happening this game. Oracle is coming in for DnS once again. The Spore Crawler isn't done. If he can beat this, and yes he can, he's actually going to nab up 2 more drones, which is very nice for the Protoss. Might try and find another. Gets another. Does he get even more? It looks like he just grabbed 5 drones there. Very nicely done from the Protoss player, picking off an Overlord. So good showing so far from DnS. And look at this, 2 Adepts are out on the map. They're going to shade on in towards that natural base. And I love 2 Adept harassment. It's one of my favorite moves that a Protoss can do just because it is so powerful. As it's a minimal investment for what can be a ton of damage, because 2 Adepts, they one-shot workers, or one-shot drones and probes anyway, and that's what they're generally used against. So these 2 Adepts going to get on in, and they have already done so much damage here to Bly. This is really hurting the Ukrainian Zerg. Look at this. Drones having to fight an Adept, never a good thing for the Zerg. And look at that. Yeah, just the worker count. 14 gone down. Bly has less the drones than his opponent. He is hurting real bad. Now, in come these 2 Oracles. They're going to run on into this natural, but the Queens do shoo him away. If Bly's going to have a chance in this game, he really needs to play pretty much perfectly from here on out. He's squeezing out a few more drones. He's getting Roach speed, because I guess you got to get something. You can't just give up and stop making anything. So Bly, he's going for Roach speed, but the ace up his sleeve this game, it's actually going to be a Spire, which is at his 3rd base. Now, keeping this hidden could be a bit tough because DnS is looking for something like this. So we'll see if he can keep it hidden long enough to blindside his opponent. As DnS, he does have the 1 Phoenix. He's also got the Stargate. So him scouting this Spire would be absolutely critical for him. And look at this Phoenix sharking about. Is he going to see this Spire? That would be a big deal. Meanwhile, these Oracles are getting on in towards that 3rd base and are attacking there. The Roach Warren was spotted. And oh man, yeah, it's already a rough spot for Bly, but there's always a chance the Mutas can pull him back into this game. And keep in mind, this is a best of 3, so even if he loses this game, Bly isn't necessarily out of it, as it's whoever wins the 2 maps. So far, this one not looking too good for him, though. The Oracles are going to fly in for DnS. This Spire has actually yet to be spotted still, which is so critical. DnS should maybe be getting a bit suspicious. For now, though, it looks like he is just really focusing on this move out. Going to be going for a big attack. The Spire for Bly, it's going to be finishing up, but he doesn't have too much banked up, so I don't know. He could be in a world of trouble right now. He starts up 12 Roaches to defend, but those Roaches are going to be not Mutalisk, and that's really costing Bly, so he's going to try and make this defense happen with just Roaches, but there are so many Immortals and Sentries here. I don't know if it's going to be enough for Bly. The fact that he skimped on the Mutas, I mean, it maybe could have been the right call, as he needs to defend versus this ground army, and the Mutas might not have cut it. But the Roaches, I feel, certainly aren't going to. It could just be some nasty force fields coming out right now, and I think that is going to be the case from DnS. Yeah, there's no way Bly really gets down this ramp. He can just force out Corrosive Biles, and Bly can't even defend his 3rd base, which is going to go down. 6 drones have gone down, more Ravagers being force fielded in. Corrosive Biles might get some nice connections. So far, it's just not enough, it would look like, though. DnS is going to defeat Bly here in this first game, it would seem. Corrosive Biles dropping down. Yeah, Roaches and Ravagers. I mean, yeah, Bly, he loses his 3rd base. He is, he's a pretty dead nerd, guys. To be brutally honest with you, Adepts are morphing on in for DnS just because they're like, may as well make something. Yeah, it looks like Force Field's just getting tossed down. Some very nice Corrosive Biles for Bly, but no, it's too late. GG. DnS takes game number 1. And we're going to just jump right on into the next game, as we usually do. Got to do the sort of sign-in shenanigans. And let's take a look here. Get on into the next game. Got to log on in once more. And, yeah. Let us see. Logging on in. The next map's going to be King's Cove in this Protoss versus Zerg, and we'll see how well Bly does versus DNS, because that game just kind of went wrong from the start. Those Adepts really did all the damage. The Oracles got a bit done, like a pretty decent amount, but the Adepts really rubbed salt in the wound there for Bly, and well, they just ripped their wound open, I guess. He just took so much more damage. Like he had like a pinprick on his finger at first, and then he just like lost a finger. I don't know. My analogies have never been great. You guys who have been with the channel for a while know that. Now, anyway, yeah, getting on into the next game. We'll see how this one's gonna go. As things are just starting to heat on up, I say once again, feel free to press that like button. You guys really like the Cyril video, as is a sort of given because he's Cyril, and Clem, also a fantastic Terran player I last cast. But show your love for DNS and Bly, and I'll just be casting more Starcraft regardless, so you guys may as well press that button. Now, let's just see. Gateway on the way here for DNS, just going to be going for that standard Protoss stuff. I say standard a lot, and that is the case. However, with Bly, this is not going to be standard. Sending a drone around to the north, where is it going to be rallied? I'm just going to be parking at the third base, or around the third base of DNS, it would seem. Maybe he'll just go for like a natural base steal or something, and that is that where he's being rallied? I think it is. Yeah, that is the case. So Bly going to be going for a hatchery block to try and throw his opponent off, which is a cool move. Something not every Zerg does, but it definitely can work. And now DNS, he's got to pull probes or do something to stop this. Let's see. No more probes have been pulled. Interestingly enough, he actually throws up an extra gateway, which is a way to deal with this I've never seen before. As usually, I think it's like the Protoss will pull like 8 probes or something, maybe once the Zealot is out, or something like that. For now, the DNS just extra gateway, extra cyber core, full wall off. Actually, just to be extra safe, an extra Zealot on the way. That's an interesting move. A cool reaction. Maybe it can make something work. Let's see. DNS is, yeah, he's not going to be able to chrono boost out 2 Adepts or anything like that, but he is rallying a Zealot across the map to his opponent's base. I guess just trying to catch his opponent off guard. Will he rally it in towards that hatchery? Yes, he will, because 1 Zealot is not enough to kill a hatchery before it builds. Is this other Zealot going to be up to the task? Looks like 1 Adept starting for DNS, a 2nd Adept starting, as he's really been forced into this build from Bly, and this could actually be a very, very good opening for Bly, because the Protoss's expansion is getting delayed a little bit here. He had to invest in these extra structures, and look at that, Bly even cancels the hatchery, and using that little bit of creep that it places down, is able to keep that alive. This drone might just run around, maybe save itself, turn it into an extractor if it needs to. It will get into the main base, so it should spot this Stargate. And spotting that a Protoss is going for a Stargate before an expansion is really all the Zerg needs to see. Now we do need to see Bly be safe versus these Adepts and versus this Zealot that's out on the map. But, I mean, he's had a fair bit of heads up, so he's able to make some links. He's going to be making 12 links, and I feel as if this should be enough to deal with this. We'll see, and just have to keep an eye on it. But no, I feel as if that went rather well for Bly. The way that DNS dealt with it was an interesting one. This drone also makes it out of that base, by the way, so he can go back and do whatever. Queen's getting into position, going to intercept these Adepts. DNS picks off a creep tumor, which is rather nice for him. The Adepts, though, they do cancel their shades, so they're not committing in here just yet. And DNS just going to be macroing up, getting up his natural base just a fair bit later than usual. For a Protoss, in come these Adepts. They are not going to commit to the shade. Bly has to stay on top of them to keep them safe. The Zealot at the third base is going to be able to work away on this a little bit. He's actually going to park himself in this mineral line, which is an interesting position. I suppose that's going to require a Queen to deal with. DNS tries to pick off another creep tumor, just a little bit off timing there to make that happen. This drone is actually going to mineral walk into the main base of DNS, and oh my god, this is so cool. The fact that Bly's just like, yep, drone, bypass that Zealot, get in there for a scout. That's actually such a cool move from the Zerg player. Not something that can really be stopped with the Protoss, or is not typically stopped. You'd have to go for like a pylon wall off to actually stop that, or have units in position. That wasn't the case, though. Now we do see a cool move from DNS, though. He's got his Adepts in this mineral line, as he's still being a nuisance. He's forced out a ton of Spore Crawlers, these drones just trying to stay alive. under the threat of the Spore Crawler. A few Queens coming in towards this third. Look at that. Cool micro from Bly. Lets one of the Spores finish. Actually, lets two of them finish. In the end, he should be able to clean this up. Might lose a drone or two. Does clean it up. This Zealot taking fire, hold positioning in this mineral line. And Bly will get this base secure. Now he can probably start droning up a fair bit because it's going to be a while before the next thing is coming out of his opponent. So yeah, I feel like this is a great spot for Bly. I mean, maybe it's not fantastic as DnS did a little bit of pressure here and there, but Bly can probably just drone up, like make like a fair few drones. He's making 5 Overlords, which is kind of an absurd amount. That's definitely a slight mistake there, or actually could be considered a fairly large mistake from the Zerg player, as you don't want to be making 5 Overlords at a time generally, as Bly now just going to be going over supply a fair bit when you want to keep the production of those pretty consistent. So that actually seems to be a fair bit of a mistake from Bly. If he hadn't Overlord finished, he could have made it around to drones sooner. That being said, though, he's still going to be pretty well saturated and getting up a Roach Warren lair as this goes on. All the while, DnS going to be going for a ton of gateways, getting up a Templar Archives, and maybe just going to be going for a big attack here. He's starting chrono boosting out his charge. That means the attack is going to be just under 2 minutes out, maybe like a minute 90 or something with chrono. Don't quote me on the exact amount of time. Chrono's like, yeah, speeds things up a little bit. And charge takes 100 seconds to research, so you guys do the math there. It's going to be relatively soon, but Bly should have time to prepare for something like this as long as he scouts it. And he's a 3-base Zerg player, so he really should be ready to intercept this. Now, this is where it could become a little bit scary. The Archon harassment for the Protoss can always get something done, as this is what DnS is going to be going for. He gets up a 3rd base, though, so maybe not just some big all-in. He's got 6 gateways for now. You generally do go for a big attack as the Protoss with this, though. Taking a look, is Bly going to be ready for this? He's got 2 Spore Crawlers in good positioning to shoo away this Prism. That's actually very, very nice for Bly in order to send that Overlord pack and having those in position. Queens actually getting caught by these Archons are going to go down. The Phoenix lifts up one of them. However, just one of the Queens gets picked off. There's still a nice move from Bly, and this is where he's going to begin laying the pressure on his opponent. Now, Bly has had time to prepare. He's investing in a Spire and a 4th base, though, so this could be a little dicey. Zealots and Archons are coming on in. I feel as if you're Bly, you need to kite these Roaches back. The Archon's just getting right on top of them, though. They're going to be heading to another location. All the while, the Natural is under fire from a few of these Zealots. So far, I feel like Bly's keeping it together, though. Just got to be producing pretty much Roaches nonstop, really, or literally cover his bases. Defends the Roaches in his Natural. 4 drones going down so far. Spore Crawler helping out, and he has repositioned these units, so as 7 drones go down, it hurts, but it's nothing too critical. And Bly, I think, held this aggression for the most part. Maybe wants to start up a round of drones now or something if he can. Just keep that going for him. He does have a fair amount of Roaches out. Just got to stay on top of this Prism, really. Make sure that it doesn't get in somewhere that it shouldn't be. And this Prism actually is getting towards this 3rd base. Bly was going for a counterattack, maybe. So that leaves himself open, though. 2 more of this Prism harassment. These drones got to be careful, as they are forced to evacuate. In come these Queens. The Phoenix going to lift up one of them. Good control from DnS, I gotta say, so far, as he's just been hitting Bly all over. And keep in mind, DnS wasn't super committed to this. He had the option to macro out, and the fact that he's kept Bly so busy with his Prism might bode well for him, as he bought himself a lot of time. He's getting up this 3rd base pretty much fully saturated at this point, getting up a Forge, going into Immortal production. He has a Templar Archives done, but he has yet to start Psystorm. This is a move that I like to see coming out of Bly, though. The fact that he's committing into 8 Mutalisks, which will really help him out. It can help him shut down this Warp Prism, or it can completely blindside the Protoss. We'll see what he's going to do with it. Or let's check. Will he completely blindside the Protoss? No. The answer is no. The Spire has been seen. DnS has had very good prison control this game, not taking any damage on it, just microing those Archons for days. Now, the mutas are out though, and Bly's committing to a fair few of them. So he's gone past his originally intended 8. He's at 13, going to be going up to 16 and getting the flyer attack. So this is some serious muta business. So it's a very good thing for DnS, the fact that his observer was able to scout this, as the mutas, if they surprise you as a player in StarCraft 2, doesn't really matter what your race is. You will probably die, most likely. Now we're seeing Bly. He's got out the mutas. He's got to be ready for this next attack that's going to be coming from his opponent, though. He's making more mutas, more drones. DnS is going to start moving across the map, though, with Archons, Immortals, and his few Phoenix. So this could be a little bit concerning for Bly. He's making some more Ravagers as he's getting ready to hold on versus this attack. The mutas are across the map. Are they going to get enough done? This third base really is under fire. This is going to force DNS's hand. We could be entering one of these base trade scenarios. Bly just finished up a round of drones, but they're going to have a bad time. They got to get on out of there. Bly, he's just going to make as many units as he can for now, as he's going to be dealing lots of damage on DNS's side of the map. You gotta hold on, though, if you're the third player. Corrosive Bow's going down. Bly trying to be a little bit preemptive, which is very, very important, as the mutas are really going to cause or wreak havoc in the main base of DNS. They're going to start trading out with these Stalkers, kill off some of the Protoss' supply. As long as Bly takes a good engagement here, I feel as if he'll be in a fine and dandy spot. Mutas are going to be pursued by these Phoenix, though, so they're most likely going to go down. Yeah, look at this. The Phoenix just going to punish the mutas. Mutas pick off 1 or 2 of the Phoenix. How's it looking on this side of the map? That looks like some Zealots getting on in for counter attacks. Actually getting a ton of damage. Bly, you gotta clean up this one Zealot in your mineral line. Looks like he finally will clean up that Zealot, which is good, but he did take a lot of economic damage there. I mean, he lost the one base, but I feel as if it was mainly the Zealot harassment. I think that killed off a good chunk of his drones, or I guess in Bly's case, a bad chunk of his drones, and he's not going to have a strong 3-base economy to fall back off, as he fell to a suboptimal number of drones, and DNS is a Protoss player, so he can Chrono Boost out more probes, and he's actually doing that. So while Bly, I think just the fact that he lost like 30 drones there really did him in, as it's not usually just the drones dying that do in a player, like things usually fall apart across the board, but no, I feel as if Bly was still just on roaches, but he had not lost that many drones. Even losing the base is fine, but that took a bite into his economy for a while there. And we see, I mean, Bly's economy, yeah, I guess it was doing better for a minute there as DNS lost a lot of his units there. But DNS is going to start going ahead. It is a nice move for Bly to pick off this base. He's got to be very careful, though, when it comes to taking a direct fight, as there are a lot of Archons and Immortals, which are just absolutely Roach Raptor killing machines. Meanwhile, the Phoenix are going to start bullying Bly, going to start lifting up some of these units. Corrosive Bowls can try and hit the Phoenix. It's not too likely to happen, though. So we do see Bly just going to mosey on home, try and get away from these Phoenix, which are just birds of prey in the sky, just picking on these poor Ravagers. We're seeing 7 Corruptors on the way to give Bly complete control of the sky. He's getting up his 4th base, so, I mean, things aren't looking terrible for him. However, if we take a look at the supply and look at the unit compositions, this does look like it's going to be pretty good for DNS right now, as there's just so many Cotton Balls, so many Archons. 9 Archons are in this army right now. There's 10. There's a 10th one somewhere out on the map. Who knows where he is? I'm willing to bet that 10th Archon is stuck somewhere. Okay, he's defending the 3rd base, but no, for Bly, who doesn't have any ground attack upgrades, and is just making Roach Ravager still. This could really hurt. Now, he's got 191 supply, which can really help out the Ravagers. Corrosive Bile can be good, and maybe he can take a great engagement. He's got to be careful, though. There's a Stasis Ward in the back we need to keep our eye on, though. Can this Roach Ravager take on the Archon? So far, a good split from DNS. The Roach Ravager is a very large force, though. They can chew through these Archons. Some of these Archons starting to pop off. The Roaches, Ravagers starting to drop a ton of Corrosive Biles once more. A lot of these units are dying for Bly, though it's close, and in the low numbers, I think it does favor the Archons and Immortals, as the Roaches just don't have the numbers to take this on. And in steps Bly. He's going to start pursuing here, dropping Corrosive Bile. Got to be careful to avoid that Stasis Ward. DNS has warped in a big round of Zealots, and that might be all that he needs. Is if he can kill off this 4th base for Bly, this would be a massive move. Looks like the Corruptor's trying to get some harassment on the other side of the map, but that's just not happening. These Roaches and Ravagers trying to pursue Bly desperately trying to hold on. I mean, he's technically still up in supply by a small margin, but it's just so many Archons, Immortals, and Zealots, which is a great unit composition, and the Roaches are desperately running. 2 Swarm Hosts are on the way. I don't know if that's like a misclick or whatever for Bly, but no, he is starting to lose this third base, and that could really spell the end for the Protoss player. Corruptors pick off the main base of DnS, so Bly's at least still getting his licks in. He's retreating with these Roaches, but I feel as if it might have been a Protoss snowball. It's going to be a little bit close. Is DnS going to take it? The Zealots are starting to go down, so that's good for Bly, but he lost his third base. He doesn't have a lot going for him right now. His economy is not great, and DnS is getting up a 4th base, so all DnS needs to do is hold on. He's got a 3rd base. Bly doesn't. He's getting up a 4th base. Bly is not, and so I feel as if Bly's almost all in at this point. One Swarm Host runs into that stasis ward there, and that is every unit that Bly cannot afford to lose. But yeah, we just look at the income. It's going to be real bad here. Taking a look at this graph, yeah, it's just a big surge for DnS ahead, and Bly's income is so low here. Yeah, just I mean, it's not too terrible compared to DNS's, I guess, is DnS doing a lot of long-distance mining after losing his main base. But no, the supply, very good for the Protoss. What can Bly do to bring this back? Looks like he got a Swarm Host in to start picking off some probes. And probes they will kill off. These 2 Locusts are going ham. And today I learned Locusts don't actually have a kill counter because they definitely killed off some units. So that's an interesting fact, that you cannot click on a Locust and see how many units it killed. But oh man, at this point I feel as if there's almost more Archons than there are Roaches. Well, okay, there's not, but the numbers are sort of disastrously close. Bly's trying to re-expand, take his 3rd base, but it's just too little, I feel. Too little, I fear, for Bly. So, yeah, I mean, he's given it his all. Bly is a fighter, but when you've just got Roaches and you're down on supply as Protoss, there's not a lot that you can do. Or down on supply as Zerg, there's not a lot that you can do. Maybe he can take on these Zealots and Archons. A nice target fire picks off one of those Zealots. Maybe he can pop off that Archon, but that's just a tiny portion of DNS's army as the rest is moving on in towards this 3rd base. Bly cancels the hatchery that he was frantically trying to rebuild. He's going to just abandon ship, move somewhere else. He's making a few mutas out of desperation. He's up to 9 currently, but there's just not enough. Yeah, GG, DnS takes it and wins the best of 3, 2-0. Very well done by DnS. A great PvZ. I really enjoyed watching that one between these two. If you guys enjoyed watching it as well, make sure to hit that like button. Shows me that you want to see more of these full best of 3s or best of 5s or whatever from WCS. And if you're new to the channel and you made it to the very end of the video, feel free to press that like button. Regardless, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.